Before I start, I just want to say, if you enjoy raw, real stories like this, please subscribe to my channel and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps these stories alive. I remember the day it all began to unravel, like it was yesterday. My phone buzzed while I was at work. A text from my wife, Emma. Had coffee with Mark today. Just catching up, don't worry. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity. Just coffee, she said, but something in my chest tightened, a strange mix of confusion and a creeping unease. I told myself I was overthinking. Mark was just a colleague, a friend, but the words kept circling in my mind like a warning I couldn't ignore. Over the next few weeks, little things started stacking up. Emma was constantly on her phone, slipping it out of sight when I walked by, calls at odd hours that she brushed off as work-related. Once, I noticed her laugh a little too loudly at a message while pretending to scroll through Instagram. My gut twisted into knots, and I found myself questioning myself before I questioned her. Maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe it was all in my head. But one evening, the signs became impossible to ignore. I was working late in our home office when her phone buzzed loudly on the kitchen counter. A message preview flashed. Can't wait to see you later, face blowing a kiss. My hands went cold. That heart-stopping moment felt unreal. I stared at the words, frozen, listening to the hum of the refrigerator like a countdown to some inevitable truth. When Emma came home, I couldn't hide my tension. Everything okay? She asked, glancing at me with a faint smile. Yeah, I said, forcing calm. My voice sounded hollow to my own ears. Work's been stressful, huh? She offered, and I wanted to scream at her, to demand answers, but instead I nodded. I kept reminding myself of the coffee. It was only coffee. But the truth doesn't hide forever. Over the next month, the little cracks widened into gaping chasms. I noticed she was more attentive to her appearance when she said she was just going out for a walk. Receipts for places I'd never heard of appeared in her purse. And the lies, started to sound too rehearsed, too polished, like a story she had been telling herself as much as me. I tried to confront her, softly at first. Emma, I feel like something's off. Are we okay? Her eyes, that familiar shade of brown I once trusted without question, looked guilty, but she shook her head firmly. It's nothing. Really, you're imagining things. The guilt clawed at me, and I swallowed it. I wanted to believe her. I needed to. But the anxiety was like a shadow I couldn't shake, and every small deviation, every unexplained silence made the shadow grow. Then came the day I found the proof. I wasn't snooping. Not exactly. I just needed to charge her old phone for her, which she had forgotten at home. I opened it to plug it in, and the lock screen lit up with dozens of unread messages. My eyes froze on one thread. Mark. The messages weren't just casual anymore. There were pictures, late-night plans, and words that belonged in a love story, but not ours. I can't stop thinking about you. Last night was perfect. When can we do it again? I felt my world shatter piece by piece. Every memory I cherished suddenly carried an undertone of deceit. The dinners, the laughter, the quiet mornings together, they were all tinged with lies. I wasn't angry yet. I was broken. When Emma came home that evening, I confronted her quietly, almost mechanically, like I was reciting a script I had been rehearsing in my head. Emma, who's Mark? Her face went pale. I could see her searching for excuses, rehearsed lines, a truth that would somehow soften the blow. But there was nothing. Silence. It was only coffee, she whispered, almost pleading. I couldn't stop the tears that came next. Not because I wanted to punish her. Not because I wanted revenge, but because I realized I had been living in a bubble of trust that no longer existed. It wasn't only coffee, Emma. I found the messages. I saw everything. Her shoulders slumped, and for the first time, I saw real remorse. But the remorse couldn't undo the betrayal. I held her hand for a moment, feeling the warmth that used to mean safety, now tinged with heartbreak. Over the next weeks, we tried to talk to make sense of the chaos. She admitted the affair, and I listened. I asked questions I didn't want answers to. I cried for the future we had lost, for the trust that couldn't be rebuilt overnight. And through it all, I realized something crucial. Love alone couldn't erase betrayal. Respect for myself had to come first. Eventually, I made the hardest choice. Let her go. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with a quiet, painful strength. I packed my bags one morning, leaving behind the life I had built, but not the lessons I had learned. The memory of her face, that mix of guilt and sorrow, stayed with me. A reminder that trust is fragile, and once broken, it leaves a mark you carry forever. I still remember the last thing I said before I walked out the door. I hope you find her happiness, Emma, but I need to find mine first. Even now, when I sip coffee alone in the quiet of my apartment, I feel the echo of that betrayal, but I also feel something else. Freedom, self-respect. The knowledge that surviving heartbreak doesn't mean you stop loving. It means you learn to love yourself again. If you stayed with me through this story, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share in the comments how you would handle a betrayal like this. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more real stories that hit deep, just like this one.